What up, my beautiful book people? Welcome back. It is a new month. Welcome to October. It's my birth month. I'm excited. Your girl is turning dirty 30 this month and we're feeling good. Things are chaos. Life don't make no damn sense right now, but guess what? We killing it. And I killed these books in September, okay? I finished 14 books in September. I did my thing. I did my big one. Today we're going to talk about all the things I read in the month of September. And if you're interested in just seeing all of my good reads, then just keep on watching. So you guys know I did do a reading vlog last month. I just went ahead and did like an end of summer reading vlog. I wanted to get through some of the things that I wanted to read this past summer, but just hadn't had the opportunity yet. So I got through quite a few of my summer reads. The first one is an e-arc from J.L. Seegars, and that is Reclaim Me. Y'all, so damn good. Second chance romance. We have our main characters, Ray and Hunter. We are introduced to Hunter in Mallory's story, Revive Me. He lives in New Haven and is a local gym owner. And Ray is a New Haven native who eventually moved on to further her dance career. Back in the day, Ray and Hunter were introduced to each other basically through tragedy. Ray picked up her brother's phone one night while he was in the hospital, and it was Hunter. And Hunter was essentially calling her brother to say goodbye. Her brother was his sponsor. He was feeling guilty about a horrible thing that happened to one of his friends. He was feeling responsible, and he had fallen off the wagon and was getting ready to commit suicide. And Ray was the person who saved him. And from there, she and Hunter and her brother, they were all the best of friends. But Ray had had feelings for Hunter for a very long time. And when they hit it off, they hit it off. Until Hunter relapsed following her brother's death. And those events led her to leave Hunter. But what Hunter doesn't know is when he spots Ray back in town, not only is Ray back in town for good, but she's in a very serious relationship, and she also has a daughter. A daughter that's the same age as the amount of time that Ray has been gone. Yeah, we got the secret baby up in there. It was so good. J.L. Seegars is the queen of second chance romance, okay? Nobody gets the depth and the emotion that J.L. Seegars gives. And I think that for me, I think it resonates because like I am currently living like my own second chance romance right now. And it's not easy. Like reconnecting with someone after 10 years is not easy at all. And I think that she encompasses those things so beautifully. So I love a second chance romance from J.L. Seegars. This was a 5-star read. I would give it 10 if I could. Highly recommend. You don't have to read the other books in the New Haven series, but like reading this book before those can give some of the relationships away. So there is that. So that was my first read and it was absolutely amazing. Highly recommend. I finished a novella by E.P. Bali. This is Her Vicious Beast. Y'all know I love white shoes. That white shoes was white shoes and okay. This is a prequel novella and we're introduced to our main character, Aurelia. Aurelia is the cast-off daughter of a serpent shifter. And so he has a lot of pull within their realm. And she has some very interesting magic, but she's been cast off by her dad because she doesn't have the same magic that he and the rest of the family has. But she is very, very powerful. And he basically uses her to go in and do jobs for other people as a way for him to make money. So he's just using his daughter. But she is pretty much cast out from her family and her mother is no longer alive. And so dad sends her on a new job with an eagle shifter. And she gets to this guy's mansion and she's like, okay, like, what's the deal? What needs to happen? And he says, I need you to heal somebody. No one else has been able to do it, so I need you to go down there and heal him. When she gets down there, she discovers that this is a dungeon, and several different shifters are down there being held captive. We have a hyena shifter who doesn't make it that long in the book. We have a shark shifter. We have a werewolf. We have a wolf. And what is the other one? I can't remember who the other guy is. And then we have another one who we don't know 100% who or what he is, but he's the one that's being healed. And so she basically tells him, okay, cool, like, I can go ahead and heal him, and then I'll go about my business, right? And as she is going through her job of healing this unknown dude, the different guys that are already locked down there, we have this thing for her, right? And especially the wolf. He is the most talkative, the most boisterous one. And he is like, something about her is everything, but he doesn't really get an understanding of her because she has the ability to block all of her senses. And so she is blocking all of them out. But it turns out that all of those guys that were down there in that basement, they're her mates. And she doesn't know it. Y'all, so good. It was so good. The tension, because we don't get a lot of smut. We do have a really good smut scene. But we don't get a lot because it's a novella. But there's so much tension. We have certain characters who are intrigued by her, but mostly mute. We have another one who, like, just flat out hates her. And by the end of the book, they all hate her, and she is on the run. Y'all, I can't wait to get into it. I can't wait to get into it. And I think she has more mates than that. It's not just the mates that are down there. Like, she has more. I can't wait to get into the next book. I want to get them in physical copy, because I have a feeling this is going to be one of my new favorite fantasy Why Choose series. So yeah, I need to go ahead and order that book. I might do that today. I might go ahead and pick that up. And then we had 3 physical books that I finished off. The first one was My Summer Girl from Maeve Black. This is a Why Choose monster romance. So good. I've mentioned this before, but I'll mention it again. This series follows a family of cupids and a family of dragons. Dulce, her story is the first one that, like, goes off into other species within their realm outside of just the dragons. And so Dulce has 3 different mates. We have Vex, who has been her dom for several years. They have had a platonic relationship outside of their dom sub dynamic. But Vex is ready. They're ready to start claiming Dulce. We have Rhaevar and Vera. Vera is the queen of the summer realm. She has been going through it because her realm is essentially dying and she feels responsible for it. And she has also been yearning for her mate. And so she sends her hand and her best friend Rhaevar into Vex's establishment because she has heard how so many people have found their mates through Vex, right? She kind of thinks that Vex is a matchmaker, but Vex isn't. Vex is dom. Vex is the dom. And Vex creates a safe space for these different monsters to come in and explore that side of themselves with one another. So Rhaevar goes into Dulce's realm to find Vex, but he can't get into Vex's place unless he has someone that he can attach himself to get there. And in walks Dulce, and he realizes there's something special about this girl. And he's upset because he has to get her and take her back to Vera. But she's also his too. There's so many different moving parts to this, but it was so well done by Maeve Black. I love that we get, like, yes, it's raunchy, it's smutty, but the feelings are immaculate. The emotions are phenomenal, from exploring Dulce's struggle as the eldest sister and the expectations put on her as a cupid. We have Vex who is afraid of their emotions and their feelings for Dulce, because their relationship binds her to them for life. But Vex is also Dulce's biggest cheerleader, and Vex is like, whatever you want, however far you want to fly, I will get you there. We have Vera, who is bearing the responsibility of all of her people, but also is completely just blind to the fact that Rayvar loves her down bad. And Rayvar has dedicated his life to her, not just because of a sense of duty, but because he has always loved her. And we get to watch all of these things play out in real time. In a lot of ways, it's kind of like a double friends to lovers situation, because Vex and Dulce have had a platonic relationship for a very long time. And then same for Vera and Rayvar. And Dulce is the center of all of their happiness. It was so good. If you love Monster, you got to get into Maeve Black. Like, she is one of like the top Monster romance authors for me. And we also get a lot of Hispanic culture in here as well. Both Dulce and Rayvar are Spanish speakers, so I love that we get that influence of various cultures through different species of characters, if that makes sense. It was so good. Just read it. Just read it. And then I also finished off Untouchable by Shon. This is another friends to lovers. I wasn't sure how I felt about this at first, but I really ended up enjoying it. This is about Tallulah and Pierre. Tallulah and Pierre have been friends for a very long time, but after a huge heartbreak where Tallulah finds out that she has been playing side chick to a man that was engaged, Tallulah decides that she is going to draw up her own list of dating rules. And so she has set up her life so she does not get too close to anyone. And Pierre, who has loved Tallulah like forever, says, you know what, if this is how I have to be close to her, then I will. And they develop a friends with benefits situation. But eventually, Pierre realizes that that is not enough for him. And he can't take the emotional turmoil that comes with being fully dedicated to Tallulah if she can't at least attempt to reciprocate. This was so good. I love what Shon does here, because you start off and it's kind of like, y'all are delusional. Y'all are delusional. But I love the way that Shon takes us through the motions with Pierre and Tallulah, and seeing Tallulah really fighting the affections that Pierre has for her, while Pierre also has to kind of sit down and think, like, is this what I want for my life? And can I live my life like this? Like, can I keep doing this? And the way that Tallulah is forced to confront her own issues and really acknowledge, like, I'm really messed up for this. Like, this is not okay. I love the way Shon played this out. So this is like my first full title from Shon. I know I've read one other novella from Shon. I can't wait to get into more. It's probably going to be just right. It's probably going to be just right. And then King of Greed. I thoroughly enjoyed this book. I said in that video that I do feel that this book is super duper underrated. I am going to be filming a full review for this book this week, so I won't get too much into it, but this does follow our characters, Dominic and Alessandra. And this is a second chance romance. Dominic is a prominent businessman. He is truly a rags to riches billionaire. And he has dedicated his life to getting more and more and more and more. And in the process of doing that, he has lost the one thing that matters the most to him. Alessandra realizes that she has only been living her life for Dominic and furthering Dominic's ambitions, and has realized that she doesn't really know who she is. And so on the day that he forgets their 10th anniversary, she leaves her ring on the counter and dips. And Dominic has to work his hardest to get her back. This was so good. Even though there were some other things that I wanted to see out of this, which we will discuss in the review, I felt like this was really good. I feel like there are a few aspects in this book that were kind of overlooked for what they were. I think people saw this book going one way and then didn't necessarily like the way that it turned out. but I saw the purpose in the choices, if that makes sense. So we'll discuss that. But this was really good. For me, it was a solid 4.5-star read. This was a vibe. I do have King of Sloth. Gonna be picking that up soon. And then this was one that I meant to read in that set of reading sprints, but I didn't get around to it. But best believe I finished it. This is A Dish Best Served Hot by Natalie Caña, and this is book 2 in A Vega Family Love Story. It was so good, y'all. Another Second Chance. Second Chance ran September for me. This book follows Saint Vega and Lola Leon. Okay, so Lola and Saint were high school sweethearts. They met each other at a very pivotal time in their lives, and they ended up kind of just cracking apart due to the various dynamics within their families. Lola was angry with Saint because he had planned to enlist, and she did not agree with that choice. And she had her own issues because her dad was known for his gang activity throughout the city. And certain things kind of brought everything to a head. And following their argument, Lola had to leave Chicago and move to the West Coast with her mother. So years down the line, Saint is chilling, minding his own business, going over to the old folks' home because Papo done got in trouble again. He done something to one of the residents, right? They get called into this meeting, and we'll come to find out, Lola is back in town, and the man that Papo slipped some laxatives to is actually Lola's grandpa. And that's how he finds out that Lola is in fact still alive and back in town. Not only are they connected through their grandfathers and their like little octogenarian rivalry, but Lola ends up becoming Rosie's teacher. Rosie is Saint's daughter. And their lives continue to further cross because Saint is one of the lead workers at his family's construction facility, and he finds out that his uncle has agreed to tear down one of the local shelters because he is sick and he needs money. And so he ends up doing what he never ever wanted to do and kind of selling out the neighborhood and tearing down this facility that houses LGBT youth. Lola, of course, is one of the people that works there and works with the kids. And of course, when she finds out that this is happening, she loses it on Saint. And Saint makes it his mission to not only win Lola back, but to help her find a new place to house these children. This was so good. The story was just rich. It was layered. And it's hilarious. This is one of my favorite rom-coms, like, of all time. Like, this series gets it with the comedy piece because these old dudes are something else. There's a bookmark in it because I actually gave this to my mom to read. She read the first book, A Proposal They Can't Refuse, and she adored it. And so once I finished this, I just went ahead and handed it off to her. If you want something that is going to give you all of like those intense feelings of Second Chance, but you want something that's going to have a lighter feel and kind of be cut with a comedy, you need to get this. I laughed so hard I cried, and then I also just like cried because I'm a baby. It's that good. So then we have An Island Princess Starts a Scandal by Adriana Herrera. This is book 2 in the Las Leonas series. First one was A Caribbean Heiress in Paris. This one, I believe I said it was 3 sisters, and it's not 3 sisters, it's 3 best friends. They all grew up together and they came over to Paris for various reasons. So we have Manuela. She is an heiress whose parents have basically spent their way into borderline destitution. And so when she is coming out to Paris with her friends, she has already accepted the engagement to a man who she does not want to be with because she does not like men. But she knows that in accepting this engagement that he is going to be able to help take care of herself and her family financially. So while she's in Paris, she decides that she wants to do all of the raunchy, off-the-wall things that she's not going to be able to do once she goes back home and gets married. And so one night she's chilling at a brothel. This kind of coincides with book 1 because we get this brothel scene and all of the girls kind of split off, right? I believe it's their cousin. I think it's her cousin. Is taking her through this brothel, and there is a section of this brothel that is dedicated to the ladies, okay? All of our lesbian sisters, this is where they go to have their privacy. And she goes into this area and she's just kind of looking around and just taking everything in, because she has never been in a place where it was safe for women to just be with women. And she comes across this room where there are all these really beautiful paintings, and she's trying to get closer and look at one, and she realizes that there's a woman there and she's working. And the woman turns around and catches her barefoot trying to climb up in the room so that she can get a closer look at the work. And she sees this woman and she is like, this woman is everything I have ever wanted. She is mysterious and striking. But of course, as soon as they really get to know each other and they share a kiss, she has to run off and leave. So the next day, she gets an invitation because there is a local duchess who wants to purchase some of her land that her grandmother gifted her. And she had held on to that land because her grandmother told her, like, I know how your parents are. I want you to have something of your own. Take this and make your life worthwhile. And so she says, you know what? I'll show up because, hey, we'll see. She's thinking that she's going to go meet some stuffy old lady. But when she gets into the meeting, she finds out that the stuffy old lady is actually the gorgeous woman that she met the night before at the brothel. And so she tells her, sure, I'll sell you some of my land, but you have to agree to show me around Paris and show me all of the things that women like us like to do. It was so good, y'all. Manuela, she is everything. Like, it's very clear that she has had to live such a subdued life, and to see her finally able to do all the things that she wants to do in terms of her art and being able to explore the world and be around people who have the same love that she does. It's everything. And then watching Cora kind of, you know, melt down all that ice and open up her heart to this woman that has just thrown her life completely off kilter. It was so good. I love this series. Adriana Herrera really just does historical romance so well, like so well. So if you have not, you need to get into this series. If you love historical romance, or you've been trying to get into historical romance and you don't know where to start, I highly suggest this one. It's so good, and like the smut is still there. It's still there, and it's good. And this is an end of an era. I'm going to be reviewing this book as well as the entire series. I finished Goldfinch by Raven Kennedy. This is the final book in the Play-Doh Prisoner series, and it was so good. It was so good. I was kind of worried because the last book wasn't what I expected. I enjoyed it for what it was, but there were a lot of things that we didn't necessarily need, right? This one right here, it wrapped up everything so beautifully. The endings weren't like the traditional way that you kind of think that things may go. Y'all know I was disappointed by one of these series finales that I was like heavily waiting on this year. And all the reasons I hated that book are all the reasons that those things are in here. Like, we have true explanation. We get to the grit of everything. We truly wrap up everything, and the sacrifices and like everything is just worth it. It makes sense. It's worthy. Raven Kennedy took a character that I hated so much that I would skip her chapters completely. She took that character and made her someone that I was sobbing for by the end of this book. I adored her by the end of this book. I was so proud of her by the end of this book. Raven Kennedy, I love you. I love you for this. And I'm kind of mad at you for this because my heart was hurt so many times. Like, this series is already heartbreaking. It is a King Midas retelling through our main character, Auren. She is the gold-touched favored to King Midas, and she has lived almost 10 years, over a decade, in a cage, a gilded cage that he keeps her in. And she is seen as like the pet to this insanely wealthy king. And as events unravel throughout these books, you see the rose-colored glasses come off for her. She goes through so much trauma after having already experienced so much trauma. It is so much, and it is painful, and it is gritty, and some of it is really, really hard to read, but so much of it was so beautiful. It was good. Review is coming. Review is coming. I adored this so much. Prior to this, I would have said that Gleam was my favorite book, but I actually think this last book it's competing with Gleam. I don't know. There are some things about Gleam. I don't know if this could be, but this was so good. This was so good. Another one that was the end of a series for me. This is The Reckoning by Jade Presley. It is the final book in the Shattered Isle series. I haven't talked about this much on here. This is a fantasy YChoose series that starts off enemies to lovers. And this is for all of my like Marvel girlies. If you're an Avengers girl, you got to get into this. Also had a very satisfying ending. The initial story starts out with our main character, Carrie, and her 4 mates, okay? She is being forced to marry the rival princes, soon to be kings of the All Plane, and she is a Shattered Isle princess. These entities have been enemies for a very, very long time. And this is supposed to signal the peace of these 2 countries. But Carrie is a trained assassin, and she is supposed to go in, officially mate with these brothers, and kill them off. But when she moves to the All Plane with her mates, she not only discovers that they are actually her true mates, she is fated to these men. But she discovers that everything that she's been told by her father is a lie, and that her father is actually the villain. Yeah. So things start off with her, but then we also get to explore her best friend, Jessie, who was living with her in the Shattered Isle. She also has fated mates, and we get to know them too. So this one follows both polycules. We get Carrie's mates and Jessie's mates, and this is the final reckoning for this war that has been going on since the beginning of the book. It was so good. This is more so smut focused, but you still get a lot of action, and all of them have powers. Those powers come out to play on the battlefield, and they also come out to play in the bedroom. So if you're looking for a really easy YChoose to get into, you want something that has darker aspects but not too dark, highly, highly recommend this. In the series are her villains and then her revenge. So if you're looking to get into this, highly suggest it. And they're all like super duper short. This right here, this was the spooky season read for me. This was the start to spooky season for me. The Coven by Harper L. Woods. I didn't know Harper L. Woods was putting it down like that. Got this from the library. I need to go back and return it so I don't get in trouble. This is Witches and Demons, y'all. So this follows our main characters, Willow and Alaric. Willow is a witch that has been living in disguise for the majority of her life. When we're introduced to her, she and her baby brother are at her mother's funeral, And she is getting ready for everything to change because she knows that with the death of her mother, that means that certain shields are going to be lifted and their community of witches is going to be able to find her again. And in a lot of ways, this may not have mattered, but this community of witches has recently decided to open up their school that has been closed for a multitude of years after killings that had gone on in the school. Willow is trying to make sure that she gets her baby brother to safety because there are certain things that happen to male witches in this society that she does not want him to go through. And so while she is trying to get her baby brother into the hands of his father, she's approached by Alaric. Alaric is the headmaster of the school, but there are also other things about Alaric. Alaric is also a demon. He is a vessel, and they are essentially like vampires. He has to drink the blood of witches in order to survive. And these creatures are kind of enemies to the witches. They were created by a witch. And so they are forever bound to this coven of witches. Willow is not just special because she's a witch, but she is the only surviving witch of 2 different bloodlines. One of those bloodlines they believe to be completely wiped out, but she's not. And she starts to get really close to Alaric because Alaric seems to have a thing for her, but she knows that she shouldn't get close to him. But they have a connection. They have a thing. And the things that she thinks are very obvious with Alaric are not what they seem at all. Y'all, this book, when I got to the end of it, the amount of denial I felt, I was like, is this what we're really about to do? Like the hints were there, but I think I was just in denial. Like, I didn't want to see it the same way Willow didn't want to see it. This was one of those books that had me up until 6 o'clock in the morning finishing it. And I was just like, what? What? Really? This is what we're doing? Y'all, it was so good. It was a vibe. I need to go ahead and get book 2. I believe that this is a duet. Look, if you love witches, you love vampires, you love it hot, heavy, and smutty, you love it dark, you love dark academia, just get into it. Just get into it. Art that was gifted to me via Good Girls PR and Evelyn Leigh. This is Elevator Pitch, y'all. This was so cute. This is a kind of like cozy rom-com. We have our main characters, Selah and Grayson. Grayson is the owner and developer of an app that's kind of like Tinder. It sounds better though, but it's supposed to be a love match app, and Grayson is recently divorced and he is like ready to find love, but he doesn't really know which way he wants to go. So color him surprised when he's coming home from his ex-wife's wedding. He goes to get into the elevator. He's going to go get into the elevator of his building, and he sees this bombshell of a woman, beautiful curly hair, just reading a book. Reading her ebook and her Kindle, not worried about nothing. He's standing in the elevator with her. He's like, she smells good, she's gorgeous, and she ain't worried about my ass at all. He's like, that book must be good. And so he starts talking to her about the book. And she really starts looking at him like, ooh, he kind of fine. But he's also really like talking to me about this book. And so he starts picking up her book recommendations in order to have a reason to talk to her. But he also was just like genuinely interested in all the things that she's interested in. And he finds himself finding little pockets in her life to be closer to her and get to know her. So Selah is also going through her own struggles. She was previously in a relationship that was in many ways abusive, and she's been trying to get back out there and trying to deal with her anxiety. And so she has a bucket list of things that she wants to just do, and this is part of her therapy process. And many of those things include certain sexual proclivities that Grayson is happy to provide. It was so good. Listen, This book, these characters are so cute. Like, they have this precious energy, right? But they are filthy. Filthy. Grayson was an entire vibe. Love that man to death. One of my favorite MMCs. Like, he is so adorable. But that man is nasty. I almost want to read it again because y'all, Grayson could get it. Very good. Highly recommend. 5 stars. I would give him more if I could. And then we have Sinner's Isle by Angela Montoya. This was really good. If you want to get into some darker romantasy that is not smutty, closed door, I highly suggest this one. This one follows our main characters, Mariano and Rosa. Okay, Mariano was a pirate, and when we meet him, his ship is being overtaken and he loses his father. And his father gives him a necklace that has, like, it's kind of like this charm situation that his mother had received from a witch that had unfortunately her. And his father tells him that this is going to take him to his purest love, the thing that he needs the most in life. And so he ends up on Sinner's Isle. Sinner's Isle is known for these majestic beings. They're basically witches. They call them majestics. But these women are not the types of free, frolicking witches that you would expect. These women have been bound into a contract with the church. And all of these women at some point face the reality that they could be forced to be bound to someone else. And when they are bound to another, that person is able to use them for their powers indefinitely. And when that person dies, they also die. And so Rosa is one of the most powerful majestics that they have at the time. She has shadow magic and she is a beast, but she does not want to be here. She is ready to go. And she and her friend devise a plan to get up out of that bitch. But their headmistress finds out, takes her best friend, and holds her captive in order to keep Rosa in line. But Rosa is determined to find a way out of there. And so when she comes across Mariano, she takes his necklace and says, I have some things that I need you to do for me. And then maybe we can both get off this island together. It was so good. We have fated mates. There's tons of magic. There's also a lot of like religious trauma as well. It was so good. I don't hear enough people talking about this book. It was a vibe, and I think a really, really great read for spooky season as well. I listened to it on audio from Libby. So yeah, if you come across Sinner's Isle and you love romantasy, pick her up. We also have A Deadly Inside Scoop from Abby Collette. This is book 1 in her Ice Cream Parlor mystery series. The series follows our character Bronwyn. She runs an ice cream shop that was inherited through her family. And all of a sudden, folks start popping up dead. She has a very interesting individual that comes into her ice cream shop. And he does not have a good reputation around the town. And so color her surprise when she is out during a snowstorm. She's going to go get fresh snow to make snow cream. And she comes across a dead body. And it turns out that the dead body is said man. And her dad also has some very serious things against that dead man. And they start to believe that her dad is the one who killed him. So she ends up playing detective and finding out who actually done it. It was really good, very cozy, very easy to follow. And we have a very diverse cast of characters. I really enjoy Abby Collette's writing style as well. I listened to this one on audio. I already have Game of Cones book 2 set up on my Libby, so I'll be starting that soon. It was really good. I've heard lots of things about the series, but I just didn't have time to get into it. I've really been enjoying the cozy mystery, and I think I'm going to continue on. Last, we have It's Elementary by Elyse Bryant. Y'all, this was so good. No one is talking about this book. Y'all need to check this out. This is also in that cozy murder mystery genre. We have Maeve, our single mom of 1, and she lives with her dad. she's been kind of trying to get her life together and just trying to get a promotion, make enough money to move out with her daughter so she can have extra room and she won't feel like she's being a burden to her dad. So Maeve ends up getting caught up into some PTA nonsense, right? We have the head of the PTA who tells her, hey, I think that you would be really good for this role. I'm sure y'all know what it is. It's one of them black jobs. One of them black jobs. So she is asked to come in and speak on diversity, equity, and inclusion. And she really doesn't want to, but she's kind of, you know, boxed into it. And she's like, okay, fine, I'll do it. So she goes to her first PTA meeting and they meet their new principal. And the head of the PTA is not happy with what the principal is putting down. This lady is very clear that she does not want certain things going on and actually is expressing the desire to remove students who aren't in certain types of programs. And of course, that will target POC individuals. And when he isn't on the same wavelength as her, it is very clear that this lady has it out for him. So color Maeve is surprised when she leaves the PTA meeting, goes home, goes on a run. And when she's doing her nightly run, she catches old girl from the PTA with some big old gloves carrying around something that looked like it might be a body. And then color her even more surprised when school starts and the principal is missing. And Maeve finds herself in the middle of all of this. Y'all, it was so good. I didn't see the ending coming. I was not ready for it. It was cozy. There was a mystery element to it, but it was also really funny. Probably one of the most comedic, cozy mysteries that I have read so far. I hope that we get more books. Like, I really love Maeve as a character, and I just love the entire style of this. So if you are looking for something that's more so in that cozy mystery genre, I highly suggest it. Highly suggest you get into It's Elementary. All right, y'all, 14 books down. We did our thing in September. I'm excited to see how things go for October. Y'all already know my spooky season TBR is off the charts. If you have not watched The Last Book and Breakfast, make sure you go check it out. That has my full spooky season TBR on it, and I will also be uploading some cozy fall reads as well. Y'all let me know, how did you do this past September? Did you get some of your goals down? Did you read as much as you wanted to? If you didn't, it's fine. Reading is reading as long as you get to do it. All right, I love you guys, and I will see you tomorrow for some more bookish goodies. Bye.